Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Star, otherwise I'm very simply known as Lady Dead Rabbit. I am a cosplayer and of course a content creator here on the internet. On this YouTube channel, I really like to mostly focus on cosplay tutorials and guides as well as some gaming content. And today we are going to be turning ourselves into Maria from Silent Hill 2. This is a very long-awaited cosplay that I'm super excited and super happy to bring to everyone, especially because I've had so many people recommend and request that I bring this character to life. So I'm very happy to finally be cosplaying Maria. So this is pretty exciting. The main reference that I'm using for Maria's makeup today in this YouTube video is actually coming from the remastered edition, just because it's updated graphics, so I feel like her makeup is more detailed because the graphics are clearer and easier to see. However, the actual cosplay itself is going to be based on the outfit that she wears in the original Silent Hill 2, just because I think it's kind of sexy and it's a little bit more scandalous, so you know, why not? To begin with turning ourselves into Maria, the first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be painting my nails pink, because Maria actually has some very stylish hot pink nails going on. Well, kind of like a hot pink, neutral pink. As you can see, I did previously paint my nails this color. This is the nail polish I'm using. I am using this nail polish from this brand because it is super cheap and I ordered it off Amazon, and I'm a girl who works on a budget. And honestly, I don't typically paint my nails, so I don't really mind getting a cheap nail polish. But yeah, painted my nails a couple days ago. It's already flicking, so I'm going to go ahead and do just another coat just to tidy up my nails to make them a little bit more glamorous looking, and then we can kind of get into the other makeup. As you can see, my nails are a nice, pretty pink. They're still drying a bit. I did go over it with a blow dryer, and they're a little bit messed up. They're not perfect, but honestly, I don't care too much because I'm literally only painting my nails for this cosplay, so I don't really care if they're not perfect. But yeah, my nails are nice and pink. It's just a little detail I thought would be really cool to add to this cosplay. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I would be putting on the tattoos, and I'm sure you've already seen this, but I did go ahead and I slapped some tattoos on for Maria. So Maria in the original Silent Hill, actually on her left hip, her right hip, actually had and this became something very iconic for this character. She had a little red butterfly tattoo. She had two tattoos. She had a bigger one, and then she had a smaller one that kind of went into the line of her skirt. In the remake, however, she has a butterfly tattoo on her chest. I am kind of basing this cosplay a little bit of a mix from the original and then the remake. Since the game did kind of confirm that the original Silent Hill 2 is canon, I don't know. It's weird. It's complicated. I'm sure if you guys have already played the remake, then you're already aware of this, but whatever. And for the tattoos, this is what I'm using. I just got off these on Amazon. I'm going to link them down below, so if you want to purchase them yourself. If you don't want to purchase them, you can always just go in with like a red lip liner and then maybe like a black eyeliner and just paint the tattoo on yourself, but I decided this would be better than painting it, as painting, it may smudge or it may smear. So I use the biggest one for the chest and then also for the hip, and then I just used one of the smaller ones to go right under the bigger tattoo. I'm wearing a dress right now, otherwise I would show you guys what the tattoo on my head looks like. But that'll have to be something that'll wait until I'm done with the actual cosplay. So yeah, those are just some of the tattoos that I got. Again, if you want to purchase these, I will have a link down below so you can check it out yourself. And honestly, I think they look pretty accurate. Like, I think these look pretty cool. The next thing I will be doing to transfer myself into Maria is, sorry, my nose is itchy, is I will be putting on my contact lenses, because Maria in both the original and then in the remake actually has blue eyes. As you can see, my eyes are not blue. They are not blue at all. So I'm gonna be putting on some contact lenses. If you wanna know the lenses and as well as the brand that I'm using, I will have them linked down below so that you can purchase them for yourself, okay? So let me just go ahead and put on my contacts. Okay, as you can see, I now finally have my contact lenses in. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to prepping my skin. And of course, I will be doing that by using a primer. This is the primer I'm going to be using. It is by Maybelline. It's called Fit Me. I'm using it because it's affordable and it's just what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and blend that out with a beauty blender brush, which I have right over here. And then I will set in the foundation. Okay, now that I have my face all set in with primer, I'm now going to be going over it with my foundation. This is the foundation that I am going to be using. It is by Revlon, and it is the color, let me pull that up. It is going to be Ivory 110. I am using this one because it is the closest to my natural skin pigmentation I can get. I have very pale, cool toned features, which luckily works out great because Maria is also kind of cool toned and pale, so this is great. But that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and put it on all over my face just to even out some of the little bit of redness that I have on my cheeks. Okay, now I have my foundation on my face. My skin is a little bit more even and a bit more camera ready. The next thing I'm doing is I'm going to be actually contouring my features. Now, for Maria, I'm really actually only going to be contouring my nose because in comparison to my face to her face, I feel like that's really the biggest difference that we have towards each other, besides the placement of our eyebrows and the shape of our lips, of course, which, you know, is what it is. But I luckily have pretty high cheekbones and a very sharp jawline. Thank you, Mother. Which Maria also has. Sorry for that interruption there. I had an alarm that went off and I had to take care of something. As I was saying, I'm really just going to be contouring my nose. And for Maria, to make myself look a little bit more like her, I am going to be putting a little bit of a shadow beneath my nose, as well as I'm going to be creating kind of a crescent shadow from where my eyebrow meets to just a little bit of the tear duct. You don't want to go too dark with it, but she definitely has a very definitive shadow there, and I think that's really going to shape your nose to look a lot more like this character. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we can go on to the next step. I forgot to mention, but this is the bronzer that I am using. In my opinion, I think this bronzer is a bit too warm. I'm just using it because it's what I have on hand. Whenever I'm completely done with it, I have a hole here of how much I've used. Whenever I'm done with it, I think I will probably be using a cool tone bronzer, which if you happen to have, I recommend. I just think cool tone bronzers look better, especially when doing cosplay makeup. So that's my recommendation, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this on, okay? Okay, now that I have that done and I have contoured my nose to look a little bit more like that character, again, I did a very light contour because it's such a warm bronzer. I just didn't want it to make my skin look unnatural. So it's a very light bronzer, but I have that contoured. Don't know if you can tell. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be hopping into the eyebrows. Now, Maria has some very finely plucked eyebrows, but what I noticed is they're actually kind of bleached looking. So in order for me to kind of create that bleached looking eyebrow look, I'm going to be taking just the ends of like an angled brush. I'm taking the little eyebrow brush part, and then with a foundation stick, this is what I'm using. It's by Wet n Wild. I'm just going to swipe that over, and then I'm going to brush it through my eyebrows. I'm not going to go too heavy because I'm not trying to make myself look like I have no eyebrows. I definitely want to keep the eyebrows that I naturally have, but I'm just going to go over just to lighten them and make them look like they're kind of bleached looking. Okay, as you see, what I did there is I just very lightly went over my eyebrows to make them look a little bit more bleached looking. I think it worked a little too well because I feel like from a distance it kind of looks like I have no eyebrows now. So I'm going to go back in very, very lightly because again, I do want to make it look like I have very light bleached eyebrows. I'm going to be going in with just a pencil eyebrow liner just to kind of define the shape. I'm going to keep them as light and as thin as possible. So now I went over my eyebrows very lightly with my pencil liner just to kind of touch up and define them a bit more. I think they will look a little bit better. Again, you gotta trust the process. It looks a little bit odd now, but trust me, as we go through the makeup process, it'll look a whole lot better. The next thing I'm gonna be doing is the fun part, and what I'm most excited about is the eye makeup. Oh, I'm so excited. So in both kind of the original and then also the remake, Maria has this very beautiful sort of pink punk vibe going on, and I am completely here for it. So what I'm going to be doing to kind of mimic the eyeshadow that she's wearing, I am using my brand new eyeshadow palette that I got off TikTok. I got it from a company called Glamlet. I will try and have the links down below if you wanted to try and purchase it yourself. But this is the Rick and Morty palettes that I'm going to be using. I'm so excited to use this palette. This is the first cosplay I'm actually using it for, so really excited. So I'm going to be going in with two different colors here. The first thing I'm going to be doing is with this color right here, this kind of hot pink, bubblegum pink. I'm going to be going in with that with this nice fluffy eyeshadow brush. I'm going to be going in with that. And I'm just going to be getting most of the eyelid as well as doing a little bit of the smoky eye out. You don't want to go too dramatic. You just want to mostly stick to the eye area. And then afterwards with a thin, more concise angle brush, I will be going in with this glamorous light pink sparkly eyeshadow up here, and I will be going into the crease, the tear ducts of my eyes just to make it a little bit more vibrant and poppy. Poppy? I don't know if that's a word. I'm gonna make it look cool. It's gonna look cool. God, I can't talk. You know, let me just do my damn makeup, okay? I have Maria's eyeshadow down, which honestly, that is so gorgeous. Look at it. Oh, so beautiful. I am so obsessed with this eyeshadow palette. Ooh, I can't wait to use it for more of my cosplays, but there you go. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Again, I will have it linked down below if you want to purchase it for yourself, but that is the eyeshadow portion for Maria, folks. What do we think? I think it's gorgeous. I'm excited. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be lining my eyes with this little kind of pencil. This is what I'm using. This is a pencil eyeliner. I would personally not recommend using a gel eyeliner for this particular cosplay, just because she doesn't really necessarily have a definitive wing for her eyelashes. So yeah, I'm just going to be going over, I'm not going to be going into the tear ducts for this. I'm just really outlining the top part and then the bottom part of my waterline. And then afterwards, I'm going to be doing a very generous, very sexy coat with my mascara. This is by Lash Princess. I know you can't tell because it's scratched off. This is a really wonderful mascara. I got it off Amazon. I like it. It's really cool, so, and it's affordable, so yeah. Alright, so the eye makeup is officially done for Maria. As you can see, it's very, I feel like it's very like early 2000s kind of grungy punk, but with like this really pink bubblegum mix to it, which, this is kind of a look. Not gonna lie, I actually really kind of like this. Maybe I'll wear my makeup like this a little bit more often. The final thing that we will be doing to kind of wrap up the overall makeup look for Maria is the lips, which is a little bit strange. So Maria definitely has thinner lips than my own, but they're very coy. They're always very upturned. So very coy, but kind of thinner lips. To thin out my lips, to really thin out the top part of my lips, I'm gonna be going in with this deep red little liquid eyeliner. I'm sorry, not eyeliner, lipstick that I got off Amazon. I'm gonna be outlining the top portion of my lip. And then for the bottom portion of my lip, let me pull it out. This is what I will be using. I'm, again, mostly focusing this on the bottom portion of my lip before I blend the lipstick out together and touch up the edges. I'm not gonna pronounce that name correctly, but that's what I'm using. So in case you wanted to. There you go. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my lipstick, and yeah. And that's pretty much it for Maria's makeup. Of course, The look will not be completed until I style my hair to look like Maria. I could very easily use a wig for this cosplay. In fact, I'm sure a lot of you guys will use wigs. And down in the link below, I will put my personal recommendation of what kind of wig I would personally use. However, I am not going to be using a wig for this cosplay because, as you can see, my hair is the perfect length and not quite, but almost perfect type of blonde for this cosplay. So I am going to be brushing it down, and I am going to be adding a little bit of pink at the ends to really complete this look for Maria. However, before I do that, I'm actually going to throw on the rest of my costume, and then I will show you guys how I, kind of color the ends of my hair. Okay, now that I have, for the most part, put on my costume for Maria, now it's time to actually style my hair, which you guys can follow this for yourself if you are also using your own hair for Maria, or if maybe you're just using a wig. I'm going to first start by brushing everything out. And Maria's hair part is actually from the right side and it goes over to the left, so. There we go, so I have my hair set in place. Maria's bangs are actually tucked behind her ears. I'm just going to go ahead and tuck them right over there. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the back part of the hair, and I'm just going to do that. I'm going to fold it over my ears so I have this little bit more of a neat haircut. And I'm going to pull a couple of the bangs forward, just to get a little bit more of the texture that her hair has in the game. Okay, now that my hair is properly parted and styled to look the way that Maria's is, now comes the fun and then also simultaneously hard parts of making the ends of my hair pink. Now, I am not dyeing the ends of my hair pink at all. I'm actually using a face paint. This is what I'm using. I don't know if you can see that. And I've used quite a bit of the face paint over the years that I've had it, but I am taking this little water activated paint and I'm going in with a stiff bristle old kind of paintbrush, and I'm just wetting the end of it and then dipping it into the actual paint, and then I'm running it through the ends of my hair. Now, I would recommend just making where your jaw meets the ends of the hair, making that part pink. So you might have to go over several times. If you're using a wig, a better way of doing this is actually getting like a hot pink Sharpie and actually doing that. But if you're like me and you're using your own hair and you obviously want to wash it out, just using a face paint would be the best option. but this is the best that I could do, especially for just a cosplay. I went ahead and I threw on the rest of my costume. So let's go ahead and take a moment to talk about Maria's costume in the original Silent Hill and how I put it together. So the first thing I'm doing, a little detail that I see a lot of cosplayers tend to forget, is Maria wears some pretty fashionable rings in both the original and then also the remake of Silent Hill. I noticed that on several of her fingers she has some sort of silver old ring, so I just took a couple rings I had in my jewelry box and I put them on. I'm not quite sure how many rings she actually wears, but I do know that she wears a couple different rings on a couple different of her fingers, so that's a nice little touch I decided to add to the overall cosplay. The next thing I will be talking about is the choker. This is literally just a like cheetah prints little pink ribbon I bought off Amazon and I cut, and this is just a piece of old jewelry that a friend gave me a long time ago that I decided to just sew onto it, and I think it works pretty well for Maria's choker. The little bralettes that Maria wears, I got this off of Shein. I've had it for several years. It's something special, but I think that it works pretty well. She just wears like a very simple kind of lacy little black bra. And then the overall crop top, the red crop top that I'm wearing from Maria, I got off Depop. I thrifted. I actually got it for another one of my cosplays. I got it for my Siri, the alternate appearance for her in The Witcher 3. So that's the shirt that I wear for it. But I thought it would work really well for Maria. And the next thing is the belt. Don't know if you can quite see it on camera. I got this off Amazon. Again, I got that for my Siri cosplay about a year ago, but I figured that the shape of it, as well as the design, worked pretty well for Maria's overall design. The skirt itself, I also got off Depop, which, if you didn't know, I am a seller on Depop, so I will have my Depop links down below if you want to see some of the costumes that I sell on there. Ignore the toilet. I am filming this in a bathroom, so sorry if it makes kind of noises in the background. This skirt is actually not great. It's supposed to be a small. It is not a small, it is a large, so I had to adjust it to more of my size, which I'm probably going to have to go back in and sew it so that it'll be my proper size, but this is what I got. I recommend literally any sort of like leopard prints or like cheetah prints, like either red or pink skirt for this cosplay. Doesn't match the choker, I tried, but oh well, no one's perfect. I think that'll look fine regardless. The last thing I wanted to talk about is Maria's boots. Ooh, I don't know if you can quite see that, but they are just a little bit above the ankle. They are, that's weird. They are just a little bit above the ankle. They are calf brown boots. They are pointed toe. I got them off Amazon. I will have a link down below because I personally think that they are perfect for this character. So yeah, but other than that, that is my Maria cosplay in all of its entirety. I hope that this tutorial was helpful, especially to some of you out there who want to cosplay Maria for yourself. So yeah, I'll have as many products as I use linked down below. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this video down below. Please also consider liking and sharing it. It definitely helps my account as a small-time content creator. And if you want to check out some of my other content, I do have my link tree down below, so you can check out my other social medias. I'm a little bit more active on some other platforms, so definitely check that out. If you guys didn't already know that, I also have my own website. I sell my own cosplay prints, magazines, and then calendars on my Shopify account, so that will also be linked down below in case that's something you're interested in checking that out. And then, of course, please consider maybe checking out my Patreon. It is probably the best way of supporting me as a content creator. As a Patreon member, you of course will see my videos an entire week before they actually are released publicly on YouTube. You also get to see my new cosplays before anyone else, so a lot of exclusive cosplay content, as well as the ability to put in cosplay requests and yeah. And then as I mentioned earlier in the video, I am a seller on Depop, so I am selling some of my costumes on Depop, which again is a thrift store, online thrift store thing. So if you want to check that out, it's all linked down below. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and head out of here, but I hope you guys have a great time.
I've never loved anyone the way that I love you.